Today we're going to build an amazingly simple design, only 3 pieces of wood, that's generating thousands of dollars for some sellers on Etsy. And stick around to the end of the video. I will highlight these sellers, show you their sales and how much money they're making, and then we'll talk about the reality of you being able to replicate the same kind of success. One piece of 36 by 16 inch project panel you get from Lowe's. I cut these pieces at 4.5, 3 3/4, and 1 3/4. Of course, you can change those if you like, and I'm gonna keep them at the 3 feet length for this shelf. Now we'll get a quick sand and then assemble. Assembly is super easy, just glue and brad nails. Use some wood putty, fill in these holes. And the last thing I'm gonna do before staining, I'm gonna use a 1/2 inch Forstner bit to put some holes. So when you mount it, you can put the screws in, and then you can put little wooden buttons on top so you don't see the screw holes, just to make it look a little bit better. All right, let's get it stained up really quick and get it put on the wall. All right, we're all stained up. I used carbon gray stain. If you're interested in that, I'll leave a link below with the other tools I used. Now we'll get it mounted on the wall. Of course, you can use whatever finish you like, spray on lacquer, wipe on polyurethane, whatever you like. We'll get this up and see how it looks. Use whatever wall anchor you like best. I like these little big screw-in ones. Of course, I'm not gonna do that today because it's not gonna be permanent on my wall. I'm just gonna mount it up to show you. Of course, use your level to make sure you're at where you want to be. And then these are the buttons, 1/2 inch buttons that I got to cover the screw holes. And there we go. Literally minutes. And now I'll give you a close-up of this, and then we'll go over to the computer and I'll show you how people are killing it with this very simple design. This first seller has 3 different listings that are all essentially the same. So we'll go over those. Pay close attention to the date when they started being sold and how many they sold. These listings go all the way up to $143 for an 84 inch, but I'm going to calculate at the 36 inch, which is what I built today. I think probably the most common would be the 4 feet, 48 inch. So I'll also calculate at that. For this seller, they sell those at $59. So they sold a total of 8,926 of these shelves for a grand total of $383,000 at the 3 foot or $526,000 at the 4 foot. And essentially that's $34,000 a year in sales or $47,000 a year in sales. Seller number 2, selling since 2022, has sold 1,105 for a grand total of $83,980 in just 3 years. Seller number 3 has sold 1,622 since 2018 for a grand total of $90,832. Seller number 4, 2,834 since 2020 for a grand total of $201,000 in sales in just 5 years. And our last seller since 2014 has sold 12,812. These are really nice. He actually makes them with some much better wood, choice of maple, cherry, walnut, etc. For the 3 foot, it's $66.60. which is $853,000 in sales. If we bumped up to the 4 foot, which I think is average, he has sold $1.15 million in these incredibly easy shelves. Mind-blowing. All right, real talk. What is the likelihood that you can make one of these very easy to make shelves, get it listed on Etsy, and start getting regular sales? My honest answer is I do not know. It literally is a mystery. There are a bunch of sellers making really good regular sales. There's some making okay sales, and then there's still a lot making no sales. And it's not like trying to figure out the YouTube algorithm. If you go on floating picture shelves, you'll get a grid of all the sellers, and some of these best sellers, these guys getting really high sales, are right next to these people that aren't. And I can't tell the difference between the pictures. They all look good to me, but for some reason, some are and some aren't. I wish I had a better answer for you, but I don't. Now, you could explore other ways of selling. Facebook Marketplace. I sell some of my woodworking on there. Usually the projects that I make for these videos, I sell them on Marketplace afterwards. And some people are knocking down my door to get them, and others, I'm not getting a peep at anybody interested at all. So it's kind of hit or miss. Maybe local flea markets as well, or local craft shows. We got some of those in town, and I haven't been out there yet because it's Florida and it's really freaking hot, so I'm not going to do that. But maybe where you live, it's not as bad, so you could try that out. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching. If you got some value out of this, please like and subscribe and help me grow this channel, and I'll continue making videos. We'll see you on the next one.